Oh, seriously. Oh, white chocolate. Oh, pistachio. If you like pistachio, you need to try this cookie. Hey sugar geeks, today I'm going to show you a new macaron recipe. Woo! Macarons are made from almond flour, but this recipe replaces some of the almonds with ground up pistachios. So I couldn't find any pre-ground pistachios, so I just brought some roasted ones from the grocery store and I just ground them myself in the food processor till they were about as fine as I could possibly make them without turning them into pistachio peanut butter. Then you're gonna take your almond flour, your powdered sugar, and your pistachios, and you're going to sift that twice. The reason we sift twice is because my pastry chef told me to. No, for real. The reason why we're sifting is we're combining the powdered sugar and the almond flour and the pistachio flour like together, so we don't have to mix it later and it's all like mixing cohesively. And it's also aerating it so that it combines with the egg whites later really easily. And we're getting out all the big chunks. If you don't get the big chunks of pistachio and almond out, they show up in the surface of your macaron and you don't have shiny macarons. Make sure to use a really big bowl or you're just like make a big mess. Or you could just make a big mess and be okay with it. All right, so now that we've got our almond stuff all sifted, we're gonna mix our egg whites, preferably aged overnight. Aging just means that you leave them in a bowl overnight or for a couple days uncovered so some of the water evaporates out of them. It's a great way to use leftover egg whites. Use the whisk attachment until it starts to get like foamy. I'm on like medium speed. Start sprinkling in your granulated sugar, and this helps incorporate the sugar into the egg whites slowly so that they dissolve. Liz, why aren't you using your Bosch mixer? Well, because this is only 4 egg whites, and honestly my Bosch is so huge, it just is really difficult to mix such a small amount of egg whites. So I always use my KitchenAid. And then I can also like do the macaronage in the same bowl. It's just easy. All right, so now that the sugar is added into the egg whites, we're gonna mix that until we have firm, glossy peaks. Don't overmix them. Don't undermix them. Mix them exactly right. And that, my friends, is one of the difficult things about making macarons. It's the world's most difficult cookie. It does take a little bit of like getting used to exactly what, you know, your egg whites should be. Basically, you just want them to be holding their shape. You know, they're nice and firm, but they're not curdled. They don't look like they're like dry and breaking because that's overmixed. Undermixed, they're gonna spread a ton and not hold their shape. So firm, glossy peaks. You got this. I also added a very tiny couple like toothpicks of avocado Americolor food coloring gel to my macarons during the macaronage process, because if you don't, they look a little bit ivory with maybe a hint of green, and those 2 little drops of color will just tell your brain that that is pistachio. But you don't want to like go crazy and make like bright green. I mean, you could if you want to. I won't judge you. Okay, so now we're going to take 1/3 of our flour mixture, add it into our egg white mixture, and we're just going to fold it in. You don't have to be super careful. We're just going to, you know, fold that in there. I kind of like do a little scooping under and then going through, scooping under, going through until it's cohesive. And then we're gonna add in half of the remaining mixture, and now we're gonna start doing the dryer technique. I'm taking my spatula and I'm going around the bowl, and we're just kind of agitating the mixture. And this is a really gentle way of mixing all of the ingredients in so that we're not smashing all of the air out of our meringue. It's not really like technical macaronage way, but it works really well for me, and it works for a lot of my followers, so give it a try. And then we're gonna add in the rest of the flour mixture, continue doing the tumble dryer technique, but occasionally take your spatula and go through the middle. Tumble, 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 go through the middle. Tumble, tumble, tumble. And you'll notice, like magic, all of a sudden, it goes from like this really goopy, kind of not consistent batter, and it starts getting really viscous, like kind of stretchy, and you'll hear people describe this as lava. That's what you're looking for. And I can literally feel it with my spatula when it starts getting oozy. At this stage is when you want to start taking the batter, taking it off of the spatula and trying to draw a figure 8. If the batter can ooze off of the spatula and make a figure 8 without breaking, it is now ready to make into macarons. Do not stress about over mixing them. If you undermix, you're not going to develop feet. It's not going to have a proper shell. It's going to be way too tender. So really make sure you mix to the point where you're getting that figure 8. Another thing that you can look for is the batter falling off of your spatula in like a V shape. If it's just breaking off and it looks really ragged, it's not mixed enough. Okay, so go ahead and preheat your oven to 300 degrees and then we're gonna pipe our macarons. So now we're gonna put this batter into a piping bag with a medium round tip. I like to glue my parchment paper down with a couple of dollops of the batter so that it doesn't like start flying up during the baking process, because that can make some of your macarons fall over. And then I am using a template from Ashley Marie Cakes. Thank you, Ashley, because I didn't have mine on hand. So you can use somebody else's template if you want, or you can use mine. All right, so we're just piping all over a batter onto the templates. You can do small ones or large ones. I actually did a mixture of both and I ended up liking the larger ones better. And you're gonna tap that onto the countertop a couple of times just to make sure there's no bubbles in the surface. I actually go back in with a toothpick to just make sure that there's no bubbles underneath the surface, because they will make your macarons explode in the oven and that sucks. If you want, you can add a little bit of your ground up pistachios on top to make them extra pretty. And I do remove the template before baking, because sometimes the paper also will like curl during baking and will affect the macarons. Like, they're very temperamental. Once you have debubbled all of your macarons, we're gonna set them aside for nobody knows how long exactly. It's raining today, so maybe it'll be 15 minutes, maybe it'll be 2 hours, who knows. Basically, you wanna let them sit out until you can touch the surface and a skin has appeared. If after a few hours a skin has not appeared, I hate to tell you, you probably did not mix your macarons enough. Or it just might be super humid. I suggest you just bake them anyway. See what happens, okay? You know, even if they're ugly, they're still gonna taste good. Go ahead and place those macarons into your preheated oven for about 10 to 15 minutes, or until you're just starting to see a little bit of browning around the edges. It's better, honestly, to over bake them a little bit and have a little extra browning, because then they will release from the parchment paper. If you under bake them, they're gonna stick, and there's not really anything you can do about that. So if you're nervous if they're done or not, bake them 1 extra minute and you'll be happy. Also, I like to bake on top of parchment paper because I feel like the bottoms release a lot easier from parchment. If you do like to pipe onto those silpats that have the templates on them, it might take a couple extra minutes to bake. Now that your macarons look gorgeous, which I know that they do, all that's left is to fill them with our white chocolate buttercream. This is so dead simple. You guys, I made this on accident and now I'm not sure I can ever go back to regular buttercream. I had some leftover vanilla bean white chocolate that we were using for the centers of some candy. And then I added that little bit of ganache to some leftover easy buttercream. It was so delicious. You can get that recipe to the filling on the blog post, which I'll have a link down there in the description. So if by some reason you like have leftover macarons, or let's say you want to make them ahead for like a wedding or something, they freeze so good. You can fill them and freeze them, like put them on a sheet pan, freeze them, cover them. They actually taste better after being in the fridge for 24 hours or frozen. Not these though, these are going directly into my stomach. Oh, seriously. Oh, white chocolate, oh, pistachio. I don't want to brag or anything, but that is not a hollow macaron. And that's it. That's how you make pistachio macarons. If you need more macaron goodness, don't forget to check out my chocolate and strawberry macaron videos. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button down below, and I will see you guys next week. Bye.